Hey guys, we're back. I just came back from vacation and made the daily puzzle number 8. Hope you enjoyed that video. We're moving on to the tactics ladder, and today we will be doing a quick 5 tactics. Hopefully it'll go by very quickly, but we'll try to see if we can climb the ladder. Alright, so these are the tactics. Black is currently just taking a rook. I bet that was a trade, but I bet this knight on a7 will be of great use, and indeed maybe fork the king and rook, or maybe this pawn on g5 will be a queen eventually. Let's see. So black is right now threatening rook takes b3. This pawn, this pawn right here is going to be captured if it was black's turn. And after that rook captures it, the rook can move to this square right here, a3, which will fork the king and the knight. And that may be of concern. However, we have the move king here to a2, preventing rook a3 check. We'll try to, I think the first move is probably g6, getting closer to checkmate, but maybe we want to move this knight and check, or maybe there's some other move. So let's see. And indeed, this pawn on f3 is providing plenty of help, as it is defending the square on g4, meaning that the rook on b4 can no longer go to g4 and prevent promotion, as the pawn on f3 will capture the rook. Also, notice that this rook cannot go back on the 8th rank because it's blocked by his own piece. Alright, I have a good feeling the move is g6. Let's do a little more calculation. So g6, rook takes b3, king a2, rook b4, maybe king a3 again. Rook b4, trying to threaten rook a4, fork. Or maybe just simply keep pushing that pawn. I think it's just keep pushing that pawn, so let's go with that. Yeah, indeed it is. And let's see if we have a tactic. Indeed we do. I just noticed that we can play knight to c6. This move, what it does is attacks the rook, but this knight is more dangerous than we think. This knight controls the d4 square, which is an essential square, as it can provide a check and maybe even capture the rook if it goes to the wrong square. We also have an option of pushing this pawn. However, the king will just come in the nick of time to capture that pawn and no more promotion, which is bad. So maybe the move is knight c6. Knight c6. The rook will most likely move to maybe rook h4 or even rook f4. So let's do some calculation there. I'm thinking rook f4 or rook h4, one of those squares for the rook. Both make sure of no more forks by the knight. However, maybe there's another move for our knight to jump to. Alright, I'm a little scared, but we're gonna try knight c6. Yeah, alright. I think the move would be, so if we push g7, right? Black will move to king f7, trying to trying to prevent promotion. Maybe the move is, okay, I think I have contemplated of a plan. However, there are various sequences, and you don't know which move comes first in the sequence, right? So we have G7, right? This move is great, excellent move. However, the king can come in the nick of time, like I said. King can simply move to F7 and block the promotion. However, our knight can simply go to D8 and check the king. Once it checks the king, notice the king cannot take the pawn on G7 immediately, as the knight will move to E6, forking the king and the rook. And that means that white will win the game. So instead, black will move to G8, and then we have no idea what we're going to do from there. I think first we must consider the move knight E8 first. This move allows the king to maybe go to E7. After king E7, we have the move pawn to G7, threatening pawn promotion, and there's nothing that black can do to stop it. So the sequence is knight D8 check. Okay, so king moves to F6, another option for the king. I was thinking D7, but F6 is another one. However, notice we can simply push this pawn. It is immune on the square G7. If the king captures, which it does, otherwise I will promote, then I can simply play knight E6, forking the king and the rook, then capture the rook, and then maybe capture the pawn on H3, and then promote another pawn. If we look into this tactic, right, this king could no longer prevent promotion. It would be forced to move on the 6th rank, and therefore allowing the white pawn to promote to a queen. So the king is obligated to take on G7 with a nice fork for white. Alright, that was a good tactic. That was slightly longer than expected, 7 minutes for one tactic, but good endgame tactics, worthwhile the quality. Alright, now we have, I'm assuming, a checkmate. I hope it's an easy one. Let's see here. I think the move is knight F6. I could tell right off the bat the move is knight F6. That's just just some sort of instinct. Maybe it might be wrong. Let us examine. I think the move is knight F6. After knight F6, the king is forced. Here I'm just thinking of forced moves. King is forced to go to H6. After H6, the king would be trapped, meaning that one checkmate means checkmate. But I don't know how we can check it even further. We can try queen H5, however the king just simply escapes to G7. So maybe knight F6 isn't the move. Maybe the move is okay, this might come off weird, but I think the move is E5. Notice there's a threat here, the queen and the king, lined up on a file with 2 rooks on the back file, meaning that one of the rooks on the back file can easily move to G8, pinning the queen to the king. Pinning the queen to the king. So this rook over here moves here, pinning the queen to the king. Now, while this move is great, right, the pin, the rook for a queen trade, that might be great, we have this awesome fork, knight F6, and we will attack the king and the rook simultaneously. So no more pin for back. With the move, E5, I think we allow a little more flexibility rather, and we allow maybe knight F6 with some greater attacks. Maybe there's something with queen F4 that we haven't seen yet. So I think the move is E5. I'm not that sure. Incorrect. Ouch. Okay. I guess that move was too passive. Maybe the move is... Oh, I see the sequence. It's queen h5, then queen g5, then knight f6 checkmate. Ah, I see. That's a good one. Good one. Sorry, I missed that. So basically what we're doing is we're playing queen h5. The king is forced to either go to g8 or g7, preferably g7, as it keeps black in the game for a little longer. Now we have the force move, queen g5. Queen g5, what it does is it forces the black king to go back to h7. Once the king is on h7, we soon notice that this king can no longer move, and one simple check, for example, knight f6, is checkmate. Now, notice if the king went to g8 instead, it would be a quick checkmate. Queen g5, same thing, right? Right, knight f6, and again, it is obligated to go into that lethal square g7 where it is completely wide open. I thought his move e5, I thought that looked kind of a little better for white, but not as good as checkmate, right? Who wouldn't want checkmate? e5 is a good move. Oh god, did I miss something? Rook hg8. Oh no, seriously? I thought knight check. Oh, king can simply go to... Ah, okay. So I'm here, you know. Oh god, I missed that. There's see these chess players, you have to scan the whole board, and I totally didn't see a pawn on b2. That's sneaky of them. I highly doubt you'll see that in the real game. You know, I was thinking maybe some trade like this, you know. But then I realized this pawn just promotes to a queen, and that's game over for white. I see why e5 is bad. I see why you have to respond very actively, because if you play too passive, you know, you have another pawn checkmate. I barely saw that pawn. Sorry, guys. Alright, we have the next tactic. Alright, let's scour for the pawns. A lesson learned, but lesson learned the hard way, but that's okay. Lesson learned. Here we have a check. B6. Hold on, I'm gonna pause you guys. Just give me a second. Hey guys, we're back. We're resuming this tactic. The pawn moves back to b6, getting ready to promote. Notice we have two very powerful bishops. That could be very tricky. We don't want to block our bishops with our king, such as moving to c6. That would be very bad for this bishop on b7. Notice this bishop on b7 maybe has some chances of maybe forking the king and the rook, or maybe even checkmate on a3. A6 rather. Let's see. Maybe there's a checkmate. So let's see. Alright. So, what I'm thinking is king moving to to c6. Very passive move. Not much to go to, restricting black, right? I'm imagining that after king c6, this rook on g6 will take the pawn on g2, and we lost our chances of promotion right there, right? Now notice we don't want to go back to b8 or c8, because that would result in rook g8 checkmate, right? So we want to go maybe to d8, if anything. I think the move is king d8 indeed. Let's see. Yeah, that is correct. Alright, so notice it was just a simple chess, right? Tactic with the king move. It's just one move, just to test whether we know what the best square for our king is when we have such a situation. Our next tactic, try to move a little quicker. Alright, so we have a knight attacking a queen. And also I discovered rook attack right here, right along this file. Notice we can take this queen. However, that is not a free queen. We will maybe lose our chances of winning, as black will take our rook on e1, and I guess that's almost checkmate. So let's see what we can do. I think the move is simply moving to d8. I feel like moving to d8. See, when we're playing this queen move, right? Notice that we're losing a rook in the process, right? A queen for a rook, that's not bad. However, black is checkmating us. With this move, we are indeed sacking a rook again. However, there's no more checkmate, as white has a defense with the rook on e1 protecting d1. Next tactic. Okay, here I think the move would be wait, let's see. I think the move is rook takes g6, but rook takes g3, sorry, my bad. Rook takes g3, but I'm not too sure. Rook takes g3. Black could indeed play h takes g3, and then we would have that bishop e3 check. Notice that's a rook and a bishop for a queen and a pawn. That's okay, especially since we're almost promoting the pawn. However, 2 rooks for a queen might be better for white, so let's see if we can win something better. And there's also that move, rook e2. And notice once the rook and queen are both aiming, after rook e2, the rook and queen are both aiming at the square g2, which is checkmate, right? Queen g2 checkmate. After rook g2, white can easily play queen f3, queen f3, then maybe something like bishop, maybe bishop e3, bishop e3, bishop e3, we have, I guess it's just king h1 escape, so maybe that's wrong. Maybe the move is I think the move is oh man, I have no clue. I think it's d2, maybe. What I like about d2 is that we're trying to maybe play rook e1. We might have some fighting chances there. Let's think. No. Oh man, this is scaring me. I think the move is rook takes g3. I really see nothing else. The move is rook takes g3. Yeah, indeed it is. After this pin. Yeah. Honestly, we had nothing there. Notice, if we move this bishop back, right, it would be checkmate. If we played here, queen f3, yeah, and there's nothing. There's really nothing after. Maybe bishop e3, king h1, and really, you have to trade off these queens, otherwise, queen f8 checkmate is imminent. Alright, well, I hope you enjoyed that more than slightly longer version of Tactics Ladder. Let's see if we can make the YouTube video. Take care, I'll see you on the next one. Just for life.